What a freaking day, guys. Did I think Meta stock was going to be up 25% today? Heck no, but here we are. It's about 11:30 a.m. on the East Coast. Meta stock is over $190 a share, and we have to break it down a little bit more in depth in this video. We're going to go over the chart, and we're going to actually break down the earnings release that came out yesterday after the bell. So if you guys find value, all I ask is to hit that like button, make sure to subscribe, and let's just dive right into the video. So again, Meta now is up over 24%. Unbelievable. Up to $190 a share, and now it is officially up almost 3x. No, not almost 3x. Geez, but it's over a double for sure. I mean, at this point, it hit $88 a share back in the beginning of November, just about 2.5, 3 months ago, not even, guys, and now it's pushing 190. It is up well over 100% in the past couple of months. So you guys can see clearly the stock is breaking out. We're above the moving averages, all that good stuff. And another thing worth mentioning is it is a little bit overbought, which we'll talk about here in a couple of minutes after we actually go over the earnings release. So let me just pull that up very quickly, guys. Let me make my face a little bit smaller. Actually, let me make sure this fits the screen. Give me a second, guys. Let me go a little bit like that. There we go. Can you see that? Can you see that? I think you can see that. There we go. So what you guys can see here is the actual earnings release, the presentation, which gives us visuals, gives us a little bit more, a lot more insight into how the business is actually doing. So this is the presentation Q4 for 2022, and let's just dive into it. We're going to sift through this. We're going to break down what I think is important, and then we'll wrap back to the charts and talk about kind of where my head's at overall in these markets. So first page right here, or first slide rather, shows the advertising revenue by user geography in millions. Keep that in mind. This is all in millions. Actually, let me make this a little bit bigger, and I'll make my face a little bit smaller so you guys can see it. I want to make sure you guys can see these numbers. So this shows you from Q4 2020 to Q4 2022, and you guys can see overall the comparable to last year, Q4 21. That's a tough comp, right? That was at 32 million, 32.6 rather billion advertising revenue in Q4 21. So we just did 31.2. So it is declining year over year. But if you go back to Q4 2020, that's a better comparable, easier. It looks better, on the numbers, right? 27.1 billion advertising revenue versus 31.2. So 2 years ago, compared to 2 years ago, we are growing. Advertising revenue for Meta by geography is growing. And you guys can see here, US and Canada is the darker blue. The darker is US, Canada, lighter is Europe, even lighter is Asia Pacific. Then the lightest category is rest of the world. So clearly we're growing in US and Canada. Europe, it looks like, has been pretty flat. I mean, if we look at Europe, advertising revenue about 2 years ago, Q4 2020, it was 6.8 billion. It just came in at 6.9 billion for this quarter they just reported. So that's pretty flat. It's growing in Asia Pacific. Actually, no, wait a second. Oh no, it is growing in Asia Pacific, 4.7 billion in 2020. Just came in a little under 6 billion. And if we go down here, revenue by user geography in millions, our revenue by user geography is geographically appointed based on our estimation of the geographic location of our users when they perform a revenue generating activity. That's essentially what that means. And we can see here it's growing for US and Canada. Pretty flat for Europe again, growing in Asia Pacific over the past 2 years, and rest of the world as well. Then if we come down a little bit here to the segment results, you guys know there's a lot of different, businesses within the business here. We have advertising, other, family of apps revenue, Reality Labs revenue, and the list goes on. You guys can see total revenue was 32.1 billion. That's up from the 28 billion back in Q4 2020, but it is down from the 33.6 billion from Q4 2021. Again, that Q4 2021 number is a pretty difficult comp. And if we come down a little bit more, expenses as a percentage of revenue, and you guys know their expenses have been going up. That's why their EPS has been going down. You can see in Q4 2020, cost of revenue was 19%. and now it's 26% in Q4 2022. We had marketing and sales. That's gone up a decent amount from 12% in 2020 to now 14% in 2022. General and administrative, that's gone up. Research and development has gone up. Pretty much expenses as percentage of revenue has gone up all across the board. An effective tax rate, we're not going to get into the tax rate in this video, guys, but this will show you here net income. Like I said, their net income has been coming down. EPS has been coming down. They've been reinvesting, they've just been spending a lot of money on the future, right? And you guys know what they're investing in pretty heavily. It's the metaverse, and they've kind of cut back on that, which is good. That's a big reason why the stock got destroyed in the first place. People were getting nervous or scared that Zuckerberg was going way too far down the metaverse lane, and he's still looking to do that, obviously, but they're cutting back a little bit, which is good, but they're also spending in other areas to try and grow the business. So net income has come down. Diluted earnings per share has come down. Look at capital expenditures, guys. My goodness. Look at that. Annual 2021, $19.2 billion. And then in 2022, $32 billion. That is insane. And then we had the quarter for Q4 2021. It was $5.5 billion. Then Q4 2022, almost $9.25 billion. That is pretty intense. And if we look here at the family daily active people, which just the number of people that Meta has, guys, that use their platforms or their products is just unbelievable. We can see here daily active people from 2020. It was roughly 2.6 billion in Q4 2020. It came up all the way to 2.96 billion in Q4 2022. So they're still growing, guys, pretty much. Looks like here every quarter of the past, 8 quarters, they've grown ever so slightly for family daily active people. And same thing pretty much for family monthly active people. Look at that. In Q4 2020 in billions, it was 3.3 billion, which is insane. And then in Q4 2022, we're pushing 3.75 billion. We're almost at 4 billion. And did you guys know the world population is 8 billion? So we're pretty much seeing half of the world using Facebook, or not Facebook, one of the products, on a monthly basis. That is insane. And keep in mind, guys, a good chunk of that 4 billion that's not using any of the apps, those are in underdeveloped countries, right? In countries that are maybe, emerging markets, or countries that are, poorer countries, third world countries, which who knows? When they'll ever have access, but you got to realize there's still market share to grab, for Meta. But of course, the growth is slowing down. I'm not saying that all 8 billion are going to eventually be on Meta, but let's just say they're pretty much in the hands of out of 2 people in the world. That's pretty insane. Not many people can say that about their businesses. And family average revenue per person, ARPP, that's been pretty flat. Almost exactly flat. Q4 2020, it came in at $8.62. And it was just at $8.63 in Q4 2022. And daily active users, now this goes into Facebook. Facebook, not the family, not all the apps. This is just Facebook, right? So Facebook daily active users came in at 2 billion. 2 billion here in Q4 2022, where it was at 1.845 billion back in Q4 2020. And we can see here it's growing ever so slightly. It's, of course, the growth has slowed down tremendously, but it is still growing ever so slightly, especially in the rest of the world and Asia Pacific. U.S. and Canada, it's been pretty flat the past 2 years. Same with, actually, Europe's declined. And, Facebook daily active users in the past 2 years. In 2020, in Europe, 308 million people, or billion, or not billion, 308 million people were using Facebook in Europe. Now it's 304 in 2022. So, yeah, that's come down a little bit. Again, U.S., Canada, flat. Rest of the world, Asia Pacific, though, daily active users for Facebook, those are still growing. And for monthly active users, we're seeing here, it's still growing in Asia, rest of the world as well, but it's been pretty, it's declining again in Europe, and it's been pretty flat in U.S. and Canada. And if we come down here, Facebook average revenue per user, worldwide, it's creeping up a little bit. U.S. and Canada, it actually popped from Q3 2022 to Q4 2022, which makes sense. That makes sense there. That's a $9 pop. But still, if we're looking at year over year, from Q4 21 to Q4 2022, it's pretty much flat or declining all across the board. In Europe, in U.S., Canada, worldwide, it's declining. In all three of those, it's declining in Asia Pacific as well. Average revenue per user for Facebook year over year. Rest of the world is barely up, so that's not the best sign. But overall, guys, those are some key levels, right? And I'll leave this. Actually, I don't even have to leave it down below in the description box. If you guys want to go and access this presentation, all you have to do is go to Meta Investor Relations, type that in on Google, and you are going to be able to see pretty much what I just read to you guys, this whole entire presentation, which goes to show that the comparables, again, from 2021, if we're looking year over year, a lot of these numbers are not looking great. But looking at 2020, the numbers are looking pretty solid. Facebook, of course, Meta is not growing like it was, but it's getting to a point where it's I don't want to say it's a mature business per se. It's not like in the decline or anything, but it's at a point where, of course, growth has slowed down, but they're reinvesting into the future, right? They're looking at really, you guys saw that chart where we saw the capital expenditures, right? They're really investing for the future. So we'll see how it goes, guys. In the short term, if we look at the chart, let's go back to the charts here. And of course, I'd love to know all your thoughts in the comments down below. And if you haven't gotten your free money yet from Moomoo or from Webull, get up to 15 stocks from Moomoo, each up to $2,000, and up to 12 stocks from Webull with any amount deposited. All of those are linked down below. If you guys want some free money and you want to support the channel, use those links down below. I appreciate you all as always. So looking at the chart now, you guys probably know what I'm going to say. This is awfully overbought. And if I was a betting man, which I'm actually not going to buy puts or anything or short the stock, that's it's risky. But I would think that we're going to pull back in the short term. We hit 190. You guys can see here on the intraday, we hit 190. Actually 193. Now we're starting to come down under that point. We're at 188. We have all these other big tech earnings, later today, which this is a bit alarming. All these big tech stocks are ripping right now. Meta's up 23%. Google's up 6%. Amazon's up, whatever it's up. I'm sure up 6%. Yeah, Apple's up 3%, right? So are we going to get some sort of sell the news event here? Meta's up a ton. Apple's up. All these are up a ton before they reported earnings. Well, Meta reported, but Apple, Amazon, Google, they haven't yet. Are they going? Is all the good news already priced into those stocks as well? Even though we didn't get the earnings yet from those stocks, I mean, it's a little bit alarming how overbought and how the markets. I feel like the market is a bit greedy right now. I'm not gonna lie. I feel like it's a bit alarming how overbought we are heading into these reports, to the point where if they disappoint or if things aren't as good for Apple or any of these, we might see a drop. We might see that sell off, that cool off, that kind of come back to reality in the short term. And I'm not saying that Meta's going to come all the way back down to under 100 or all these stocks are going to collapse again, but I mean, at this point, I think they're going to cool off. That's all I'm trying to say. So Meta, if it comes down to 170, maybe down towards 150, 155, 60, that'd be a point where, it'd be better, just looking at the chart, in my opinion. Google, if we pull this up, they're reporting after the bell today. They're pretty overbought, heading into the earnings, right? And you guys know this is my biggest individual stock holding, so it's not like I'm bashing Google or anything. I'm just being real. They report after the bell. It's pretty overbought. I'm not going to lie. Not as overbought as Meta, obviously, but it's still pretty overbought. Amazon is also overbought. We're ripping towards 115 before the earnings came out. And who knows, maybe we do see an event that is similar to Meta. I don't know. I mean, nobody really knows what's going to happen, but I'm just being very cautious, guys. That's all I'm trying to say here, being very, very cautious, as the NASDAQ's up over 3% right now. I mean, that's intense. The Russell's up 2%. The Dow's actually red. Funny enough, the Dow's red as the S&P's up 1.3%. So yeah, I'm not really doing anything crazy today. I am still looking at SQQQ, guys. I'm getting tempted. I'm not gonna lie. I kind of do. I might pick some up later today. We'll see. It's a bit of a gamble, heading into these earnings. But I don't know. I think we're at a point where, and you guys know I bought this SQQQ on Friday, sold it on Monday. I think we're at a point where a re-entry on this, at least for me, is looking pretty decent. It might be a smart idea. That's kind of where my head's at. If this comes down lower 30s, even where it's at now, for a snapback back to 37, 38, 40 bucks, that's a play that I'm very interested in. We'll see how it goes, though, guys. I'm not telling you what to do. I'm just telling you guys what I'm looking to do. So with that being said, I'm going to wrap the video up. Don't forget to get all your free stocks linked down below. Hit that like button. Make sure to subscribe and check out the Patreon if you want to keep up with what I'm doing throughout the day, charts I'm looking at. If you want more access to me throughout the day, now's the best time to check it out. Go check it out. Link down below, guys, on Patreon. I'll see you there. I'll see you in the next video as well. Peace out.